Welcome viewers as well as my students. Today's class, as I had committed before, is slated for operations research. While entering into operation research, I must explain about OR in all these 10-11 points. So today, I'll be explaining about the nature of OR in 10-11 points. Firstly, origin and evolution of OR. Secondly, nature and meaning of OR. Thirdly, main features of OR. Fourthly, main phases of OR study. Number fifth, methodology of OR, that is how we make the models. Number 6, general methods for solving OR models. Number 7, management applications of OR. Number 8, scope of OR. Number 9, role of OR in decision making. Number 10, role of computers in OR. And finally, arrival and development of OR in India. I'll be taking one by one all these points and I'll be explaining. Now the first point was the origin and evolution of OR. First of all, we must understand that this OR is the baby child of Second World War. What happened in Second World War? England military was in deep trouble on account of the resource crisis. They had the severe problems. They were fiercely engaged in war with West Germany and other countries, and they had the various problems regarding bombing, effective use of their whatever resources they had, effective use of the arsenals, effective use of electronic machines, maximum bombing with minimum arsenal. So these were the problems with English military. So they invited the researchers and scientists of various disciplines like mathematics, statistics, econometrics, engineering, physics, various fields were engaged. They provided researchers, and though they all researchers sat together and they came out with a new subject, new discipline, operation research, and by the end of war, English military and the USA military had suffered severe gain on account of OR. So after the Second World War, the success story of English and American military attracted the attentions of industrial managers, as those managers were also facing intricate problems in their executive decision making, and the main problem with them was how to maximize their profit and how to minimize their cost. So this way this OR came into existence, and in 1947, an American Air Force staff, G.B. Danji, came out with a new novel technique for just solving OR models known by the name linear programming. And since 1947, it has developed in various fields that I'll let you know the name of various forms of linear programming. And today we have the linear programming method and techniques for solving the OR methods. And by the end of this point, I would like to say that OR is concerned with optimization problem. Whatever resources the world had, OR suggests how to maximize gain from the minimum resources. So this is how this OR came into existence. Now the second point, nature and meaning of OR. What happened during World War? The various scientists and researchers from various disciplines, as I have told earlier, that the scientists and researchers from mathematics, statistics, economics, physics, engineering, and other fields, they sat together, they made the plan, they make the strategic plan, and they handed over the plan to the executive managers to take the decision. So this OR or the OR management never goes on the front line. They always sit behind the curtain. They make the proposals, they make the plans, and those plans are being executed by the either military managers or the industrial managers. So this is what OR does. So OR is a scientific method of providing executives with an analytical and objective basis for decisions. So when the executive are in a state of dilemma and a state of various problems, they take help of OR from OR. OR just provides them with the various plans, suggestions, and then based on those plans and suggestions, executives take their decisions. Secondly, OR is a scientific approach to problem solving for executive managers, exactly same thing. And thirdly, it says that OR is an art of winning the war without actually fighting it. As I have told just now, that they say the experts of OR sit behind the bar or just behind the curtain. They make the plans. They never come on the forward. They never goes to fight. They only make the plans. They make the suggestions, and those suggestions are executed by the executive managers, either in defense or in general civilian field. This is what about the nature and meaning of OR. Now the third point says main characteristics of OR. First of all, as I have been speaking since last few minutes, that OR is an interdisciplinary team approach. The experts of various fields sit together and then they execute the plan. So it is absolutely interdisciplinary in nature. It involves experts, researchers and scientists from various fields. That's why it is called interdisciplinary. Secondly, it takes a holistic approach to the system. Whenever any problem arises and the team of OR is invited to investigate and to give plans and make suggestions, then those experts of OR, they take the holistic approach of the system. They don't take the very problem partially in one compartment. Rather, they take the problem in holistically, in wholeness, in totality. Thirdly, imperfectness of solution. Nothing is perfect in this universe. Whenever the team works and they find the solution, we can't say that it is absolute perfect. No, there is always some room for imperfectness in the solution. This too exists in the very solutions given by the OR team. And fourthly, this OR uses scientific research to optimize the total output, return, profit, cost, so on and so forth. So these are the four main characteristics of OR. So we may say that when we see the main features of OR, then it comes to the point that ultimately OR boils down to the optimization technique. Whatever OR does, in some way or other, it always goes for the optimization technique. So OR must be taken as a technique for optimization process anywhere and everywhere. Number 4 says methodology of OR. Now under methodology, these 5-6 steps are: first of all, formulating the problem. When the researchers from various fields sits together, the problem in language has to be put before them, and those team of scientists require informations on these subjects. Who shall take the decisions? What are the objectives of the firm? Controlled variables, number of controlled variables, number of uncontrolled variables, and the number of constraints before the organization or rest is most important. So these 5 informations have to be provided to the OR team, and when OR team is in the possession of these informations, then next they construct a mathematical model which is to be investigated by the OR team. So second step is the team makes a mathematical model. Thirdly, when the mathematical model has been formulated, solutions are being obtained through various techniques that we shall deal. Fourthly, when the solutions have been obtained, then next there is the testing the model and solution. It is known as the updating the model. How this model will work in the future, what will be the consequences of the use of this model. So all these things are being taken in updating the model. Next is the controlling the solution, the whatever solutions have been found, and these solutions, whether it could be applied, used in the future or not, or if used, in what way they could be used. This thing is called controlling the solution. And when all these things have been done, finally implementing the solution, that is use of solution by the outside world, by the various firms, various organizations. So these are the 6 steps of methodology of OR: formulating problem, constructing a model, Just then when we make the model, then we get the solutions, then we update the model, controlling the solutions, and finally implementing the solutions. So these are the various steps of methodology of. Now the fifth point is modeling in OR. How or what are the guidelines of making model in OR? First of all, what is a model? So a model is a representation of an actual object or situations. Whatever the problem is, whatever the object is, whatever the situation is, they have to be given a mathematical form, and that mathematical form is a model. So this model shows relationships and interrelationships in terms of cause and effect. And whenever the researcher team sits together, they make a model, they never go to disturb the ongoing system. Whatever the system is working in its own way, it works. Simply a replica is made, that is investigated. So a model permits to examine the behavior of the system without interfering ongoing operations. Ongoing operations are never disturbed by the team of scientists. When model is being formed, there are various guidelines for the formulation of the model, and the researcher has to follow those all guidelines to make a good model. Models can be classified according to by a structure, by purpose, by method of solving, by use of digital computers, etc. As of nowadays, few quantitative models which are most rampantly used in OR research, this is distribution model or allocation model, inventory model, production model, queuing model, Markovian model, game theory model, networking model. So these are the various mathematical models. Those are used in OR team as of now. Now, the model forming in OR has three parts. And those are, first of all, while formulating the model, the researcher has to define the objective function. So the first constituent of model is objective function. Secondly, set of constraints. And thirdly, restrictions. Now, this puts a restriction on the size of the decision variable, and this third one, this puts a restriction on the sign of the decision variable. So when we make an OR model, first of all, we define an objective function, and thereafter we have to identify the various constraints, and with the help of those constraints, we make a set of constraints, and those set of constraints are a constraint regarding the size of the decision variables which have been included in the model, and thirdly, there are restrictions regarding the sign of the variables included in the model. Now, let me explain it by taking an example. Let any firm A is producing two goods. Now, this price of X is 3 and price of Y is 5. The firm seeks to maximize profit. So not this is PX, this is profit per unit on X, and this is profit per unit Y. Now this firm wants to maximize its profit, so first of all, it will make an objective function that is maximize profit. Pi is profit, that is 3x plus 5y. This happens to be the objective function, subject to x plus y less than or equal to 6, 2x plus 4y less than or equal to 21, and x and y is non-negative. This is a just perfect OR model. This is objective function. This is a set of constraints, and this is non-negativity restriction. So this is a complete OR model where the firm seeks to maximize its profit, and the firm is just producing two commodities, X and Y, and on X per unit profit is 3, on Y per unit profit is 5. So first of all we define objective function. Second, this set of constants could be of any number, and luckily by the use of computers we can handle millions of constants at a time. So these are the constraints in the form of inequalities. And thirdly, this is non-negativity restriction, says that the X and Y can never be negative. Negative X and Y makes no sense. So X and Y, this is a complete OR model, and this is how we make a model in OR. Well, students, out of 11 points in this lecture, I have covered 5 points. And if I go to cover all the points in one video, it will be quite a longer one. So better, I am going to make it in 2 parts regarding the operations research, introduction of OR research, OR. So in this 5 point I have covered, next video I will be covering remaining 6 points. Thereafter, I will take up the linear programming method, maximization, minimization, duality, various forms of linear programming, and this class of OR is going to stay for a month or more. So the new students who have joined right today or the one before previous class, they could have all the informations from the descriptions that they will get, and they can join me and they can enjoy this class. So this is what for today. Thanks.